In my last video on NFTs, I broke down the various Ethereum-based token standards and the underlying technology, as well as the opportunity of this new technology to change the way that we all interact with sports, media, and entertainment. Stick around to the end of this video where I will reveal my first artistic NFT purchase and my personal thinking on why I made this particular NFT project my first buy. Stay tuned after the jump. I'm Corey, and on this channel, I help you decode technology and innovation to grow your wealth on the journey to financial independence. In this video, I will explain the thought process behind my first art NFT purchase. My goal with this video is to help you to create your own framework for trying to find the value in this new technology and asset class where there are many different types of projects and categories of NFTs popping up. Let me acknowledge up front, the NFT community is as varied and diverse as all of the nations and peoples on the planet. My thought process to start my NFT journey was with one particular NFT, but this says nothing about the amazing artists and communities that are out there. My limitation is simply the number of hours in the day, and I expect this to be the beginning of my NFT journey, not the end. So let's get into it. As various NFT projects popped up over the last year and a half and then exploded in popularity and value, I kept thinking, just like you, what is going on? How do I figure out what the value is here and separate the wheat from the chaff, so to speak? If you are watching this video, you probably had an initial thought that was somewhat similar. The next goal was to do a deep dive and understand this new technology and medium and how it works. This curiosity sparked a journey of learning that led to my first NFT video, which I will link in the show notes below. The cool thing about this space is that it's so new and always changing, meaning that no one person or group can monopolize the knowledge. We can actually all learn together. So next, I read about the story of Richard Chen and took note that he turned down an offer of $9.5 million worth of Ethereum for his CryptoPunk. This really made me pay attention. The concept of brand and brand identity struck a strong chord with me, as echoed by Richard Chen, because I wanted to approach this first NFT purchase as an investor and not simply an admirer of art. So my logic in this regard was simple. It's since that I don't know which project will go to zero, and this is a first generation of NFTs really, let me use some basis to evaluate potential NFT projects. By analogy, my very first YouTube video talks about Bitcoin and Ethereum as platinum brands, just like my two favorite watch companies, Rolex and Patek Philippe. I use that same framework here since there's no way of knowing anything for certain. How did I think about identifying an NFT project? So the next step is pretty simple. Let me find some well-known brands that are involved in the NFT space right now and use them as my starting point for my first NFT purchase. This led me to 4 well-known projects today. Of course, there are many more projects, but I settled on 4 to review here. So you have Bored Ape Yacht Club, you have the CryptoPunks, you have Playboy Rabbitars, and you have Gary V's VeeFriends. So let's take a look at each of those 4 and how I thought about evaluating all 4. Bored Ape Yacht Club. This is one of the most recognized NFT projects right now and currently has high sale prices and celebrity cachet to back it up. At the time of this video, the floor buy now price is 33 ETH, which is in the range of about 149,000 US dollars. This is a premium brand with a premium price to back it up. But why is that? Well, we can see that Bored Ape Yacht Club offers a few key attributes that I think are reflected in the price. It has a limited supply of 10,000 NFTs. They had a fair launch and distribution. This means that it was not just given to insiders. You get ownership of the NFT and commercial rights. So caveat, some commercial rights, not full commercial rights. But this is key because it means the holder has some intellectual property that they will control and potentially be able to exploit in the future. You also get access to members only online areas and future developments, which means there's upside value to be gained if the project can continue to deliver on its goals. And so this functions like a call option on the future success of the NFT project. So next, what do we have? We have CryptoPunks. Like Bored Ape Yacht Club, CryptoPunks is another of the most well-known NFT projects with a limited supply of 10,000 punks, as they call them. The lowest price available at the time of this video is 94.9 ETH, which is over $433,000 at the time of this video. The CryptoPunks are 24 by 24 pixel pixel art images, and they're generated algorithmically, which just means a computer formula was used to create them. Most punks are girls or guys, but there are a few rarer types mixed in, such as apes, zombies, and even aliens. Every CryptoPunk has their own profile page that shows their attributes as well as their ownership status or for sale status. Just like Bored Ape Yacht Club, we can see here that CryptoPunks also has similar attributes with demand being high, a strong community, a fixed supply, and also the exclusive access to different parts of the community and future developments. So next, let's look at Playboy Rabbitars. This is one of the newer NFTs, which was first minted in October 2021. For those who may not be familiar, and I'll put a link below to my first video on introduction to NFTs, minting just refers to being created. Owning a Rabbitar and joining the Playboy universe, which is called the Leveritia, means that you're one of the earliest pioneers of Playboy's journey into the world of Web3. At its simplest, according to Playboy, you can think of each Rabbitar as a key that unlocks membership to the future Playboy ecosystem on the blockchain. And this will grant you exclusive access to Playboy art, artistic collaborations, in real life and metaverse events and experiences, physical and virtual fashion, and many more things that will innovate and come over time. The supply of Rabbitars is also limited to 11,953, and they are unique 3D rabbit characters, with each Rabbitar coming from a pool of 175 different traits. For example, fur, ear types, facial expressions, apparel, accessories, occupation characteristics, and more. Additionally, there's a 10% royalty on the sale of any future NFTs. So if you own the NFT and you sell it on to a third party, Playboy would collect a 10% royalty on that sale. And so to round out, we've got Gary V VeeFriends. VeeFriends is the name of Gary Vaynerchuk's NFT collection, with the goal of building a community around his creative and business passions using NFT technology and their smart contract capabilities. So by owning a VeeFriend NFT, you immediately become part of the VeeFriend community and get access to VeeCon. Gary Vee has created a strong community just like prior NFTs we've discussed, and he has a strong brand as a thought leader in all things tech and social. So the initial collection supply is limited to 10,255, but I read this to mean that there may be other collections in the future, and this could also apply to the other NFTs discussed here as well. There may be future collections. In this case, VeeFriends has 3 categories of NFTs. There's the VeeFriends themselves, there's gift NFTs, and there are admissions NFTs. The admissions NFTs will expire May 4th, 2024, but you get to keep the cover art. And Gary Vee has also himself hand-drawn all 268 of the VeeFriend characters. So that's actually another thing if you're really interested in the unique nature of these types of art. VeeFriends are one-of-one art tokens, and they have only one edition of their token within the VeeFriend family. All 90 in-person access tokens are one of one. Additionally, they have spectacular tokens, which are 1,175. And finally, similar to the Rabbitars, there's a 10% royalty on future sales of the tokens. Okay. So we've gone over the 4, and so how do I whittle down these choices? What is my thought process here? To look at that, we're gonna look at the pros and cons of each of the different NFT projects discussed here. So first, Bored Ape Yacht Club. So what are the pros? Well, Bored Ape Yacht Club is well known, it's got a ton of star power, it's a strong brand and a following online and real world events. They don't have any royalty fee on sale. The con would be the high price, the opportunity cost, so you're gonna have to spend some Ethereum tokens in order to get that actual NFT, so there's an opportunity cost there. You could say it's not differentiated. And what do I mean by that is when something is extremely popular, if you're the kind of person who doesn't want what everybody wants and what everybody has, even though everybody doesn't have these NFTs, they're sort of at the top of mind of a lot of people. So if you wanted to be different, maybe this wouldn't be, the top NFT for you. So then if we look at CryptoPunks, it's similar in that it's also very well known. It's got a lot of star power, a strong brand and a following, access to real world events. They also don't have a royalty that I'm aware of on that project. But the con would be similar of this high price, opportunity cost, and again, it's in the top of mind of everyone. And so if you wanted to be different, this wouldn't necessarily be the project for you. There might be some other things you can find out there. So next we have Rabbitars. So what's the pro? I think it is the most well-known brand, Playboy. It has star power. It is a public company with a passionate team and access to online and real world events that will come for owners of those NFTs. So a con, it's newer, it's more speculative than CryptoPunks or Bored Ape Yacht Club. However, we're talking about NFTs here, which are already at the cutting edge of what you could consider something as very speculative. So I don't consider that to be a real con. There is a royalty fee on any future sale of a Rabbitar. So let's go to Gary Vee VeeFriends. Gary Vee is a very well-known personality. He's got a very strong community. His NFTs offer access to features, and they have different types of NFTs. They also have the real-world convention access. A con would be that convention access does actually end in 2024. However, there's plenty of time to be able to take advantage of attending those events and joining that community. And then it would just be, is that something of your flavor? So it's tied to a particular person, a very specific person and brand. That's kind of to each their own. So before I go on, I want to say that if you stuck around this far, thank you. Make sure you like the video to help the channel grow. And also, I hope you found some value from this video. Let's get to my decision. So, what exactly did I decide to do? Well, first, if you're not familiar with the various NFT token standards, I'll put a link below in the show notes where you can check out my discussion of all the different Ethereum token standards. The NFTs discussed here are all ERC 720 on Ethereum, in case you're wondering. So first, Bored Ape Yacht Club, CryptoPunks. Those are great projects. However, they're a few $100,000 above my budget at the current time. So this left me with Rabbitars versus Gary Vee. This was one of the tougher things to think through, as I noted in the pro and cons that they're very similar projects with a lot to offer their community members. In the end, I went with Rabbitars for a few strategic reasons. First, Playboy is a newly listed public company with a new brand consciousness that is aligned with the current Gen Z millennial generation. Secondly, my bet is that this is a global brand and Playboy will be able to build on their 50+ years of intellectual property and pop culture importance and global recognition to catapult that brand into the 21st century. And the Rabbitars will be a key piece of that, and potentially I can benefit from that growth. Of course, I could be wrong, and Gary Vee could end up owning the Jets and all NFT owners get NFL Playbox seats, which I think is a real non-zero probability given how passionate Gary Vee is about the New York Jets. Shout out to Gary Vee, by the way. In all seriousness, I look at this as a fun way to learn about new technology and have some skin in the game. Maybe the Rabbitar goes to zero, or maybe we look back in a few years and these NFTs become highly sought after, like CryptoPunks or Bored Ape Yacht Club NFTs are today. The point is, for this new technology, you should buy what you want for your own reasons, and don't let anyone tell you the passion that you have for a specific project is misplaced. I think the beauty of NFTs, specifically art NFTs, is that we're all allowed to have our opinions and perspectives. I will do a follow-up video where I walk you through the process of actually buying the NFT. Let me know in the comments what NFT project you're most passionate about and why. Join me on the path to decoding technology and innovation to grow your wealth on the journey to financial independence. Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and hit that notification bell. Until next time,